With over 800 moons in Super Mario Odyssey, it's no surprise that the majority of them are pretty easy to collect. However, there's a handful of moons that are incredibly difficult to grab and are frankly way more tedious than they need to be. I know most video games have to contain at least some form of challenge, but I swear some of these moons go above and beyond to make sure you pull your hair out when going for them. So that's why today, I'll be ranking the top 10 hardest Super Mario Odyssey moons. This list is based on how challenging the objective for each moon is, as well as anything else that makes me rage. I also won't be including any moons that are hard to find, since the main challenge is locating them rather than actually collecting them. And one from the Metro Kingdom, Motor Scooter Daredevil. The premise is that Mario has to navigate through 3 separate roads with various obstacles and enemies in your way. Each road is set to a specific time limit, so you're only given so much time to get from one side to the other. The catch is that before, you had access to a scooter, while now, you don't. But I mean, it can't be that hard without the scooter. Oh my gosh, yes it is! Let's just say that you really have to book it if you want to get across each road in time. This means you have to pull off all the fancy moves, including rolls, long jumps, and extremely well-timed dives. You seriously don't get a single second to stop and smell the roses, so you either have to travel faster than the speed of sound, or say hello to failure. Oh, and did I mention that Cappy isn't even with you for this moon? So hopefully you weren't relying on him to help you get across because gee, what else are friends for? Wow! However, this moon really isn't too bad in the grand scheme of things. As long as you know how to move efficiently, you really shouldn't have too much trouble with this moon. I mean, this isn't even the type of moon you call Nintendo customer service about. Doesn't mean I'm not going to, but still, it really isn't that bad. Just perform your quickest abilities and you should be all set. Number 9. Iceburn Circuit Class S. I've personally never been a fan of the Bound Bowl Grand Prix as they're called, as I don't find them to be too fun to play. Basically, you'll capture this creature known as a Chivarian, which is basically just a polar bear, but thick, and race other Chivarians through a variety of different obstacle courses. You move around by bouncing on the ground, and you have to time your bounces out to ensure you maintain a good speed. The problem is, it just isn't fun. It's a little challenging, yes, but it mostly boils down to just not being that enjoyable. I suppose it's fine for what it is, it's just not my thing. But Iceburn Circuit can go jump into an erupting volcano for all I care. This track is unlocked after destroying the moon rock in the Snow Kingdom, and it's absolutely dreadful. This course has a very jagged layout, awkward slopes that make it hard to aim where you want to go, and inclines that will slow you to a crawl if you touch them at the wrong angles. All of these things combine to make getting first place here nearly impossible, which by the way, is required in order to obtain the stupid moon. But that's not even the worst part. The computers that you race against in this game are jacked. They don't slow down at any point, which means you basically need to cut every corner just to stand a chance against them. I will admit that it gets easier once you do manage to get first place, but good luck doing so because whoo boy is it a challenge. Overall, this moon isn't too bad with practice, but it certainly doesn't bring me any joy. It's just not a cool place, you know? Cool place, get it? I'll go now. Number 8. Arrival at Rabbit Ridge. Well, it looks like we're back on the dark side, this time for the game's one and only boss gauntlet. You'll fight all 4 of the Broodals in a row, and then Robo Brood immediately after. And beating all of them back to back is a task not for the faint of heart, as these guys do not go easy on you. Since you're on the moon, Mario's stuck making incredibly floaty jumps that make him glide through the air. You might think this makes these battles easier, since you get to be in the air even longer. But it really doesn't, since the low gravity makes it incredibly hard to land any hits on your opponents. Also, with the exception of one heart that you get right before the Robo Brood battle, there is no health whatsoever during these fights. This means that you can't get hit more than 3 times across 4 fights, or else you have to start all over. And it's not like these boss fights are that hard either. They're honestly pretty easy. But because you know you can't get hit too many times, this puts you under a lot of stress not to mess up, which only makes you worry more, which then causes you to panic, which will inevitably lead to you losing because I've personally gotten much better at this moon over the years, but I'd be lying if I said it still didn't kick my butt. Number 7. Walking on the Moon Again. In 1969, Neil Armstrong became the first man to walk on the moon. And in 2023, we're still doing it. Except now, we have to walk in very precise places, or else the Koopa Troopa will yell at us for not being a perfectionist. We really have come far as a society, ladies and gentlemen. We really have come far. But that doesn't matter, as this moon's got a lot of nerve being as challenging as it is. The goal is to walk in a perfect circle around this Koopa Troopa, while also being as accurate as possible. In order to get this specific moon, you have to get at least a 90% accuracy, and it's a lot harder than it sounds. At first, you're given a clear indication of where you need to go, but after the first couple steps, any and all help fades away. So you basically have to guess where you think you're supposed to walk, and given that it's a circle, chances are you're probably going to mess it up. Not to mention there's elevation changes too, which makes it incredibly hard to correctly predict where you're supposed to walk. I swear, it really just comes down to luck at the end of the day, as there's really no way to guarantee you get a good score. You just have to keep trying and trying and trying again until you get lucky. I mean, I couldn't even complete it in time for this video. That's how hard this is. Oh, what's that? You feel sorry for me, Mr. Koopa Troopa. Yeah, well, how do you like them apples? Haha! But in the end, I guess I'll just have to accept the fact that I'll never be able to walk in a perfect circle.
What the? How the? A perfect circle?
Number 6. Secret 2D Treasure. You probably weren't expecting to see any 8-bit moons in this video, but luckily for us, this one made it on the list. Located in the Mushroom Kingdom, this moon has a lot of different parts that all contain drastically different obstacles. The first part is this section with all these bullet bills flying towards you from both sides. You really have to be careful here, as it's incredibly easy to lose your health here quickly. After that is this really scary part where you have to run along a bunch of narrow blocks. This part's hard because you have to make a lot of really precise jumps that are incredibly stupidly nerve-wracking. All it takes is one wrong jump and it's game over. But even this isn't as bad as the next part. Now the gravity's flipped so that Mario's facing every direction but up. Then you have to very carefully navigate some circular platforms, all while trying to jump over hordes of fast-moving fuzzies. And if you thought you were done there, well, you're not, because there's another area right after all that. Oh, and I forgot to mention that you actually have to stay within the black border the entire time. Otherwise, you revert back to 3D and fall to your death. What fun! I guess I could talk longer on this moon, but I honestly don't even think it's worth it. Just know that this moon equals impossible, equals stupid, equals aggravating. Math. Number 5. Jump Rope Genius. I don't think it's anyone's surprise that the infamous Jump Rope Moon made it onto this list. I remember this moon giving me so much trouble back in the day, so let's just say I wasn't too happy coming back to it all these years later. So basically for this moon, you just have to rope jump 100 consecutive times. That might not sound so bad at first, but the truth is, it's actually horrible. The jump rope girls waste no time picking up the speed of the jump rope, with the speed increasing about every 5 jumps or so. Then when you get to about 50 jumps, the jump rope will hit its max speed, and it's pure chaos. Look at this, look at how fast it's going. I practically have to do frame perfect jumps just to ensure I don't lose. And even then, it feels like I still don't stand a chance. It just moves so fast that I don't know how anyone could do this consistently. Now there are a few tricks to making this moon a bit easier. One I like to use is jumping with the scooter, since it makes all of your jumps last the same amount of time. I don't know if this actually helps make the moon any easier, but I guess it's something. Look, I don't care how good you think you are at this game, this moon's hard. End of discussion. Number 4. Invisible Road Rush. And we're back on the dark side yet again. You know, we've been spending so much time here, I practically feel like I'm becoming Darth Vader.
Luke, I am your father. Together we can rule the Mushroom Kingdom as father and son.
Anyways, this moon is anything but a walk in the park. It's so hard that out of all the hundreds of moons in this game, I still remember how difficult this one was all these years later. Yikes. Once again, you'll abandon Cappy at the entrance, which severely limits Mario's movements. And it's a terrible thing too, since you have to navigate an invisible road above a large lake of poison! Great. And guess what's littered on top of that road? Goop-spinning piranha plants. Great. Oh, and there's also holes in the floor that you have no way of seeing, so you pretty much have to memorize the entire thing or else you'll fall to a horrible death. Great! The main challenge stems from the fact that these piranha plants are covering up the road with their poison, and if you touch it, you lose one of your hit points. Now you might be thinking you can just go around it before the road gets completely covered, but that's the problem. You can't. The road's already filled with poison when you enter the level, meaning you already have very little room to work with. And if you wait to take out the piranha plants, by the time you do, the entire road will be covered, making it impossible to get to the end. And what's at the end anyway? Oh no. Why are there so many damn piranha plants, and why are they all so big? And why is there goop everywhere? Seriously, how is anyone supposed to do this without a moon jump hack? And what even are these hitboxes anyway? It feels like half the time I don't even get a fair shot at this moon, since everything about it is against me! Number 3. Beach Volleyball Hero of the Beach. If you thought jump roping was bad, just wait until you see this! I've never really been that big a fan of volleyball. In fact, I just about hated it whenever I played it in gym class growing up, since it just about mangled my fingers, but that's besides the point. This moon really takes the cake when it comes to the impossibility factor, because I swear, it really is impossible. All you have to do is volley the ball back to the snail 100 times. It doesn't matter how you do it, just smack the ball back to the snail over and over until the moon is yours. At first, the ball moves at a snail's pace, which may or may not have something to do with who you're playing against. In fact, it takes several minutes for the ball to actually pick up to a decent speed, which only makes the mission drag on. But then, right when you're about to fall asleep from how boring this is, the snail flips a switch and starts sending the ball back in record time. Seriously, he goes from 1 to 100 in a matter of seconds. Like, why weren't you going this fast earlier, you coward? It's at this point where you don't have time to physically move Mario to the ball's location, so you have to throw Cappy in quick succession just to keep the ball from hitting the ground. This is when this moon starts to become impossible because one slip up and you have to start back at the beginning. And you want to know what the worst part is? This isn't even a volleyball! It's a beach ball! How could they lie? Oh, the horror, oh. Number 2. Long Journey's End. Most modern Mario games seem to end with one final level that's way harder than all the rest, and Super Mario Odyssey's is... Welp? I'm not even gonna pretend I don't like this stage, because I honestly really do, but that doesn't excuse the absurd amount of challenges it contains. This moon will have you jumping off poles over lava, navigating a lava bubble through a field of spikes, climbing up a tower with tons of moving platforms, swimming through ice water, dodging fuzzies as Yoshi, gliding over bottomless pits, dodging burbos through a cloudy passage, climbing swinging boards using a Pokio, killing Donkey Kong, and even completing a level as Bowser. And that's not even all of it. While I do quite like the amount of different things you'll encounter, all of that variety comes at a price, as this level seems to go on forever. Right when you think it's over, you go straight to a new section with even more missions to tackle. I don't usually mind long levels in video games, but this one is seriously absurd. Now the reason I put this moon in the number 2 spot is because there's a lot of places where you can get some extra health along the way. Talking to the Sphinx even grants you a life up heart, which you'll definitely need if you want to see the end. But when you finally do get to the end, oh man does it feel good! You feel strong, you feel unstoppable, you feel like you're on top of the world because you just beat the hardest moon in Super Mario Odyssey. Well, that is except for... Number 1. Breakdown Road Final Challenge. Breakdown's right, because I'm about to break down in tears due to how difficult this moon is. This has and always will be one of the hardest video game levels I'll ever play. I don't even know if there's a definitive way to get good at it, because even after dozens and dozens of attempts, I still can't pull it off consistently. So basically, you first have to navigate this road made up of crumbling blocks, while bullet bills on both sides destroy parts of the path. This part honestly isn't too bad. It's really the next part that has a horrible personality. When you get to the end, you have to drop down and activate this Banzai Bill Cannon. And once he's awake, you have to long jump along these blocks all the way back to the other side. And I'm not talking about your regular ho-hum standard long jumps either. I'm talking frame-perfect inputs, baby. This means that you have a considerably small amount of time where you get to jump, and given how little room you have to work with, that makes doing this almost impossible! You literally have to jump right after Mario starts going off the edge, or else you won't be able to pull it off! Jump too early? Bonk your head. Jump a few frames late? Fall into the abyss below. Now do all this while there's debris falling down from above, and there's a freaking Banzai Bill chasing you! How is anyone in their right mind supposed to do this? I swear, you literally have no chance when it comes to this moon. It's just that impossible. In fact, this moon makes me want to put the game in a box, send it back to Nintendo, and just die! Well, that certainly was interesting. The truth is, these moons are all really difficult, and should really only be attempted by professionals. So let this be a warning to any and all Power Moon hunting extraordinaires out there. Anyways, thanks again for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, and all the other fancy stuff down below. And until next time, goodbye.